and I'm just watching you in a relatively easy lane so far, just miss literally every creep. So
Yeah, I missed like 3 or 4 here, and you're right. Yeah.
and
That's just
it's
something
easily
I was
fixed
working
with a change of perspective. Okay.
on. Right. Yeah.
And so do you remember what I said about my jug game?
You said not to mess with them, and just shit the creeps. Well, you actually.
Why are you laning? Is my question. Like, what are you trying to accomplish in the first 5 minutes of the game?
Just get some experience and some gold, and I guess get a lead on them.
Okay, so you want more experience and more gold than them, right?
Correct.
What is the primary source of experience and gold in Dota 2?
It's either killing or creeps.
It's creeps, man. It ain't killing. Kills are worth a little bit. Sure, they happen. But the majority of the gold you accrue as a carry player is going to be from creeps.
Okay.
So my question is, if the lane is pushing towards them, okay, meaning that you have more creeps than they do, what does that mean for you when it comes to like being aggressive or not?
I could be more aggressive if I have more creeps.
But okay, absolutely. So that is the right perspective to some extent. So this is where people you said that because I've said that, right?
Yeah, I mean it makes sense because if they got a lot of creeps and you go after them, then all their creeps hit you and you run out of health quick. You know.
Okay, cool. This is something that I feel like you are amongst a large group of people that hears me, applies it verbatim, and then fucks it up.
Banana slam jam.
Your initial answer was BSJ. When I have more creeps, that allows me to be more aggressive on the opponent because if they trade back with me, I have a lot more creeps than them. Thus, they'll take more damage, right?
Correct.
So there's two things that having more creeps than them means, okay? And that's one is exactly what you just told me. But two, it's that your creeps are going to kill enemy creeps faster.
Correct. And then it's going to push.
So what? No, it's not that it's going to push. It means that every second you are doing something, that many more creeps are dying. Meaning, if I be aggressive for 3 seconds, if the creep wave is completely normal, maybe I'll miss a creep. But if I be aggressive for 3 seconds when my lane has double range and 7 creeps, these creeps are going to get shredded. Like, they're just going to die. Like, look, you're going to be aggressive right here. Look at how fast these things are dying. You're just spinning on the Earthshaker. Look at it. That's 2 creeps missed. You're being 3 creeps missed.
Yep.
So what you need to understand is that yes, it is a good indication that you are allowed to be aggressive when you have more creeps than them. But it's with the basis that your creeps are going to hit them. So it needs to be near your creeps. And those creeps are the ones that are killing the enemy creeps. So what this allows you to do, if you have more creeps than they do, right? We're going to show you this real quick. Is if you're playing right here, where these creeps are, and you have 5 creeps, right? Then if this Earthshaker then tries to stop you from getting these 2 creeps, you're allowed to be hyper-aggressive on this guy. Do you see how that would be different than what you're doing?
Yes.
You see this, right? So it's not
I need
just...
to stick by my creep.
Yeah, so it's like the reason why having more creeps allows you to be aggressive, you already said it to me before I answered, is because your creeps hit them when they trade with you. So if you're not near your massive amount of creeps, that doesn't apply at all. So then you're just missing a shit ton of creeps. And what you have... Go ahead.
I'm not really thinking of I have more creeps than them in this situation. I'm just kind of...
Okay,
thinking,
so here's the deal,
if
man.
I get them away, then I can farm better, you know?
Okay, so here's what I need you to realize. So here's the couple things then, right? That's understandable. You do everything in regards to creeps. This is the public service announcement, educational tidbit coming in full circle here, okay, guys? You do everything in regards to creeps. If you have more creeps than them, that means their creeps are going to die faster. That means you have to spend every waking second of your laning stage near the creeps that are going to die. That's just how it is. You have obligations to the lane. So do these opponents. You have to get last hits and experience. They have to get last hits and experience. If you play properly, then you can start to predict what the opponent's going to do, what you're going to do, and anything else is inefficient. That's the beauty of it. You may say, BSJ, doesn't it become really predictable if you tell me you have 5 creeps and he has 2 and you're going to play on top of the 5 creeps? Isn't that really predictable? And I'd say, yeah, what are you going to fucking do about it? I have 5 creeps and you have 2. What are you going to do about it?
Yep.
You can't do anything. I'm going to get the CS, or at least if you go for the deny. If he goes for a deny, like he attempts to contest your CS near 5 creeps, what should you do?
Probably spin on him and.
You should just hit him.
Yeah.
We don't need to spin. That's
Okay,
like 100. That's a
gotcha.
0 to 100 right there. We can just hit him, dude.
Well, I was thinking like right here. If the Earthshaker was right here and I have all these creeps, wouldn't that be a good time to spin or no? You would just focus on
Absolutely
the
not.
creeps.
No.
Yeah, I guess
Spinning.
that's kind of.
So we're
Like,
talking
when do
about
you-
efficient trades, okay? Let me finish and I'll let you talk.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
We're talking about trades, right? And we want every single trade to be efficient. If I have 5 creeps next to me and he has 2 and I right click him and he right clicks me back, what's going to happen?
My creeps will hit his creep or him, and it'll be more of my guys hitting him.
So is that a positive trade for you if you right click him and he right clicks you?
Yes.
So when would it no longer be a positive trade for you?
I guess if I get away from the creeps.
Okay, so you're on top of the creeps. That's assumed. That is where you're playing. You are playing the lane properly. Okay, so you are playing on top of the creep waves. If you playing the lane properly creates a situation that it is a positive trade for you, doesn't the opponent have to do something about it? Don't they have to try to change that? Don't they?
Yeah.
Okay, so in this particular lane, I'm asking you for a very specific answer now. If you right-click this Earthshaker and he's right-clicking you back, and he suddenly notices he's taking 300 damage and you've taken 100, what is he gonna do?
Probably fisher me.
Okay, and during the animation of his fissure, what are you gonna do?
Spin.
Oh my god, that's crazy.
Gotcha.
That's how Dota works, man. You force people into unfavorable situations. Their response becomes incredibly predictable because they have to do it, otherwise they just lose. Like, if he doesn't fissure, what do you do?
Just keep hitting him.
You just keep hitting him. Who gives a shit? Like, keep hitting him.
Gotcha.
And if he does fissure you, you spin. It's just that simple. That is Dota 1. Like, that is laning in a nutshell right there, okay? And so you said you're not thinking about the creeps in this case. I asked you what more creeps meant for you, and you knew the answer, but then you then told me that you're not thinking about that. So what I will tell you and everyone watching is that is the first step of everything I'll ever tell you. I tell you that every single creep wave that meets, it is very important that you know exactly how many creeps you have and exactly how many they have. It decides a lot of things for you. So, like, my first task for your first 5 minutes of the game would be that every 30 seconds the creep waves meet, you know exactly how many creeps on each side there are. That tells you if it's pushing or not. That tells you if you're supposed to be aggressive or not. That tells you how long do you have to be aggressive before you're going to miss a creep. That tells you if you have to be passive. Like, it tells you so much. And if you're not even looking for it, you're going to do random ass shit like this that I can't explain. Like, this makes no sense to me, right?
Yeah.
Like, this will literally never happen in my game. I'll never be missing 2 creeps to go spin on a mag that's far away from the creeps. And that's not more of an insult towards you. These are things that I'm telling you are important to think about all the time. And if you're not thinking about them, then from a high-level player's perspective, what you do makes no sense. And you want what you do to make sense at any bracket. And I feel like a lot of people complain that their teammates do a bunch of shit that doesn't make sense. And Dota becomes really confusing, especially when other people are doing things that make no sense, if you don't know exactly what you want to do and why you're doing it. As long as you know what you're doing and why, anything else you see, you're just like, okay, that's just a bunch of bullshit interference, static on the line. I don't really care about it. It's happening, but I'm going to focus on what I'm doing. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yep.
So
I gotcha.
that's exactly what we're going for. So the cool thing is that creeps are something that determine like trades, like meaning most of the time I have 5 creeps, they have 2. That's beneficial for me. But in some lanes, that's not the case. I'm just saying in some lanes, you're either heavily unfavored or at this point you're maybe down by a couple levels. So just keep in mind, guys, I'm not telling you every single time you have 5 creeps and they have 2, you're supposed to force trades. It's one of many factors that leads to positive trades. So you should go into a lane thinking, if the lane is normal, like just 4 creeps versus 4 creeps, do I like to trade with this guy? And if the answer is yes or no, when does it become a yes or a no? Meaning, if I don't want to trade with him with 4, do I have to have 3 more creeps than he does? If it's a yes, does he have to have 3 more creeps than I do? Does it have to be 1 more creep, 2 more creeps? Trust me, may seem a lot to stomach right now from your perspective, but that is how precise matchups eventually become. This isn't stuff that I think as Jug versus Mag, I have to have 2 more creeps than them. It becomes a feel. Like, you learn to realize how, much the lane has to be pushing before you're favored in a certain matchup. You start to feel it, but it's all based on paying attention to the fact that the number of creeps in the lane matters every single game. Can we move on?
Yep.
Cool.
So
Okay.
can I ask? So is it fair to say, since you're supposed to be right by your creep wave, that if their hero is right there, if I'm not trying to deny the creep, I should be hitting him pretty much, right?
Absolutely. So I'll
Okay.
give you a little bit of creativity here. If one of these creeps is low, we'll do a little bit of an advanced process here. Say these 2 creeps right here are attacking this creep, okay? Same situation, but these 2 creeps are attacking this one. This creep's at like 100 or 200 health, and he's going up to last hit it.
Yep.
And you're right here. What should you do?
So we got 2 options, right? Hit him or deny. I used to always deny, but I feel like you're more saying I should be hitting him. I feel like, I don't know.
So if you hit him, what happens?
Well, you're hitting it. You're taking away his health. Then
What do
it
these
regen.
creeps do?
Oh, they come hit me.
Okay, so what happens to this creep's health?
It stays where it's at.
Okay, so what are his choices? To hit this
Hit.
creep 3 times or walk away?
Yeah, hit.
And if he hits this
Yeah.
creep 3 times, what are you going to do?
Well, that's a lot. I mean, I could just keep hitting.
You're just going to keep hitting him. And if he walks away, what are you going to do?
Then I'm going to deny it.
Then you're going to deny it. And this is all
Yeah.
because this situation is favorable for you. So
I
why
don't
do I
think
choose
about
to
how to
hit
play
him
the creep.
rather than deny it? Because if I hit him, that extends the duration that he is in a spot that is favorable for me. While if I deny the creep, it actually shortens the time that he is vulnerable to me. Do you see this?
I sit there and deny every single creep. I didn't really ever think about it.
Do you
that.
see that though? How that actually
Yeah.
shortens the amount of time he is vulnerable.
Absolutely.
So the reason why I'm telling you this is because if this creep is low, like honestly for Shaker, there's literally no reason to be here right now because there's no low creeps, right? He has no reason to actually be this far up. He's completely out of position. And you could have punished it, but that's fine. My point being here though is I told you you're obligated to be here for these 2 creeps. If this creep is super low and about to die, you can interpret that they are obligated to that creep. And if they just ignore that creep's existence of being low, then you're going to get free denies. So it's like, that creep's important. If they don't value the creep and you just deny it, then whatever. Like, I'm sure you're okay with that. But if they do value the creep's importance, which you should be able to predict eventually, then you can start punishing them for it when that creep is in a situation that is positive for you.
Gotcha.
So what ends up happening is you start to do these micro decisions where it's like, this creep's this is a good spot, this is a bad spot, this is a good spot. If this was a bad spot, you would probably defensively aggro the 2 creeps that you're looking to get to drag them away from the bad spot. But if it's a good spot for you, if he goes up for the creep, you're just going to hit him. And so when it comes to utilizing abilities like Spin or Slark Pounce or anything like that, like Slark Pounce is an ability that secures the kill. Spin is the ability that okay, they're going to try to fight back, or this trade would have otherwise not been favorable. I'm now going to use my Spin. So it's like I'm giving you different heroes examples. but
Sure.
like every ability changes the dynamic of that trait a little bit. Okay, so it's like Slark's Pounce allows him to secure a kill. Jug makes the trade a bit more favorable, but you only need to use these abilities if the trade is not favorable for you in the first place. If it's favorable for you, then you get to keep full mana and just sit there hitting the guy. Because that's free. That is free to you, right? And if you do that over the course of 5 minutes properly, like I did in my Jug replay, you feel like that Sand King who's just losing by 2 levels and a bunch of health regen that he's lost over the course of the lane. Because it's not like something that happens super fancy. If you watch that Jug replay, you can watch closely for these little things I'm now telling you about, for how often I trade with him when it's a lane situation that's favorable for me, and how often I avoid him when it's a lane situation that's favorable for him. And you yourself, when you're watching high-level players, can start to look for, like, you can make a guess. You can watch and say, that's favorable for him, that's not favorable for him, he's going to be aggressive here, he's not going to be aggressive here. You know, like, making guesses. And if you're wrong, you go back and watch. Like, you just, like, say, what did I think about this? Why did I think it was that way? You know, and you can actually learn a lot of matchups by watching that way. However, there really is not going to be a substitute for just playing. Like, you know, you're going to have to just play. I know you do that, so that's not a problem. But I know you asked that question. Are we now good to move on? Because we talked a lot about this, but it's a big point that applies in a lot of situations.
No, this is what I needed to learn about the early game, so
Cool.
I'm good.
As long as you feel like it's registering, I'm good.
Yeah.
Okay,
Absolutely.
cool.